شلام عليكم جشقان مغرب أنا إيفان كارمن موراد بتشاردن قاتوخون أبيتون شركانة جو برشياتت أطرد أمريكا التريل بإسري أربا اخنن آتورای خیانت ستانیسلاوس کاونتی پریشاید مدیت ترلاگ سیریز مودستو ایوه غرابا مر اقبال قد ماسخ شرکه گودن پرشیاته و شقلخ بالتس بلیشان آتورای و شقلخ خیارتا بتشاردن منوخون طلبیتون لأن بالتس بلیشان آتورای آتی گوبت فاتوخون یا ان ازیتون گو vote centers طلبیتون هیارتا بلیشان آتورای و طلبیتون لأن بالتس بلیشانت Assyrian. Then on minten min sharek tochun. Avitun basimen.
Gabiane Autorai depnitet Stanislaus County. Gubaya Rashmaya the Rishmish Ta'alan at Atrat America in presidential elections ila يوم 5 تشرين تريانا. قانون عيد صدرت جوباية باشم شودرا ببوستا من يوم تشوى تشرين قمايا هل يوم إسريخا تشرين قمايا. قد هدريتون شموخ جابياته عزيتون الويب سايت theregistertovote.ca.gov. مصيتون مدريتون جوباية ببوستا ينجو صندوق رشمايا ينجو قنطرون جوباية داها بنيتا. أبزه مصيتون عزيتون برسوبايت الخا قنطرون رشمايا جوداها بنيتا. جودن قنطرون رشمايا مصيتون خا. مدريتون جوباية بوستا. تري هدريتون شموخون قا جوباية. طلا طلبيتون هيرتا قد ترجمتا بليشانا آتورايا وسدرا دجوباية بليشانا آتورايا ين أربا طلبيتون هيرتا قا رشمتا دجوباية قداها سدرا.
Welcome to the Modern Assyrian program on AGN. My name is Carmen Morad. We are on location in the city of Modesto in the state of California with Donna Linder, Stanislaus County Voter Registrar and Clerk Recorder, and my guest today is Mr. Sam Betreshu. Thank you so much for having us over.
Thank you for coming. It's so nice to have people see our process and come to the office and know what we do.
Donna, it's so important for our viewers, for the Assyrian community, not just in Stanislaus County, but our community overall, to really understand the voting process. I call it the privilege and really an opportunity to participate in a democracy, to cast our ballot, to have a voice and to vote. And voter registration and the actual voting process is just so valued to all of us. So thank you for inviting us today as AGN, as an Assyrian Media, to give us a tour, to really make it as transparent as possible on how your staff processes the ballots, how you answer the questions that we and a lot of people have. So thank you for that opportunity.
Well, thank you for coming. I want our voters to understand the process so they feel comfortable voting in Stanislaus County.
Absolutely. And you know, we've been here a couple of times before. You gave us a tour. You were so gracious to give us a tour of when before election. But now you gave us a tour that our viewers will be watching about how the employers actually authenticate the signatures. You took us to the vault where the ballots are kept, how there is a buddy system, how you check the undervoting, the overvoting. I mean, these are all things that come up at vote centers and on a regular basis. What is a message that you want our viewers to know about elections, the voting process in Stanislaus County?
That we as registrar and staff are want to make sure that the public understands how secure and careful we are with their vote. Everything is done with at least 2 people. A lot of times 4 people are there. There's a process where there's a supervisor over every unit, a full-time staff member, and we just take such care in our voters' votes that we want them to understand that process is there and how careful it is and secure.
And we saw that. We observed it here. We are in downtown Modesto at your office. We're sitting here in your beautiful office. And the tour that you gave us has to do with when the ballots are collected, where actually they're mailed in at this point.
Correct. Or dropped in a drop box.
And then the process of how they are actually checked in, how they are counted, what happens to the envelope, what happens to the actual ballot. And then we come to I think on the 26th of October is when the vote centers open.
Correct. Saturday, October 26th, 6 of them throughout the county.
And the opportunity that voters have, for example, if they have received a ballot, they want to drop it off at the vote center, they can. Tell us about what happens when the vote center is open, and if someone still hasn't decided, you know, their status of their registration, what they can and cannot do at the vote centers.
So a vote center is like a satellite office for us. It will have the ability for people to register. If you're registering at a vote center, you have missed the deadline, so you do need to go in person. You register at the vote center. It is called a conditional voter registration. We have to run it through the whole process prior to counting that ballot, so it goes into an envelope. The envelope is also the registration form, so there's not more than one piece of paper to fill out. You can go in and get a replacement ballot for your vote by mail and just vote your ballot, put it in your envelope. If you lost your envelope, they have envelopes there. If you want to vote in person, you can be given a ballot for your area, wherever you live, at any vote center in Stanislaus County. And then that ballot can be ran through a scanner that is there at the vote center that will be brought here on election night, and we will pull the drives and count all those votes out of that. No ballots that are voted are ever left at a vote center. They're brought every night to our office. Every night, the scanner, ballot paper, laptops, everything is locked away, so everything is kept secure at our vote centers every day also.
Security is very important. It is talked about quite a bit, and you showed us, and Mr. Betreshu and I were both trained, and we work at the vote center. So it gives us an opportunity to be able to dispel some of the myths that we are hearing about information. But let me ask you some of the most common questions that I get asked that come up. And that's when a family member has 4 ballots with them, right, with their envelope, and they drop it off. What is the responsibility of the voter to make sure their ballot is still going to be counted? There's no information that needs to be followed up on with their signature. What is the proper way of someone dropping off ballots for other people?
So you want to make sure that the person you're dropping off for has signed their name on their ballot. And then if you turn the ballot over, you should be signing your name in relationship to the person and then dropping those off. It is legal for people to collect ballots for people other than their family members or people in their household. That used to be the law, but they still need to sign that they've brought those ballots in. Whether it's 2 or 100, they need to just flip those over and sign those for us. And then the ballot still goes through the whole process of we're checking all the signatures to ensure that the person who that ballot actually belonged to voted that ballot.
That's really important, because if there is a discrepancy, then there's a delay in counting that ballot.
Correct.
And that's the responsibility of the voter, correct?
So if your signature is mismatched or forgotten, we will contact you via a form. And so we do send that to you. We do have them on our website also, but you need to fill that form out and get it back to us with a signature. The signature has to be able to compare to the voter registration for us to count the ballot. So it's very important that people send back that form, we call it ballot cure, to ensure that their ballot can be voted. And when our staff are looking at signatures, they're comparing the signature. They have challenged my signature. So the moral of that story is don't sign on your knee, because it will not match your voter registration. But they even challenge my signature, because their job is to just compare your signatures. They're not playing favorites. They're not looking for their friends. They're just comparing. And if it does not match, it will be challenged no matter who you are. And so we're careful with the process, and we treat all voters the same.
Let's talk about the importance of the envelope. This happens quite a bit, and you talked about it as well. You know, we're sitting at the dinner table, we have coffee on our envelope. It happens, right?
Yes.
What is the significance and importance of your envelope that you need to get another one, but you still have your ballot that does not have your name on it?
So we find that when people vote together, sometimes they mix up their envelope. The envelope has a barcode that is specific to each voter, and that barcode is used to give the voter credit for voting, and also tell us what signature should be compared to that envelope. If you've mixed up your envelopes, we might be looking at your roommate or your spouse's signature on your envelope, and that's not going to match. It has to match. So we do give our voters grace in Stanislaus County and most counties, where we'll take the signatures of spouses and we'll go and double check and look at, say, I sign my husband's. So they'll look at my signature on his ballot and say, yes, that matches. And then they'll look at his signature on my ballot, and they'll pass those envelope. We also now look at addresses, because roommates will do the same thing. They'll mix up their envelopes. And so we take the time to go through and look at the envelope and cross-reference the signatures. If we cannot do that, so say you're sitting at the table with your spouse and you decide to vote, but he doesn't, but you accidentally do use his envelope, we're going to contact you because that signature doesn't match and we need to do some corrections there.
Perfect. One of the reasons that we're here, Donna, is to make sure that we understand the process and the transparency. So I really appreciate you explaining the details to that, because these are things that come up. For those of us who work at the vote centers, we get all the questions that we need to have answers to, and to make sure that people don't get upset. There are certain instances where we have to check identification. There are certain times where signatures are questioned. So, and it's all done by code. You've told us that many times. There is an assembly bill or a Senate bill that is the law that you enforce.
Correct. We enforce all of the laws that you'll find. Some things we do take a step further. So, and we aren't the only county. Many counties will do the same thing. But when you do a duplication process, say your ballot, the coffee spilt all over it, and you sent it in, but it's the way it is on the envelope on the ballot. We're concerned that it will count as votes, and so we don't want that. So we'll duplicate that ballot, and how we do that is one person will be looking at that ballot, another person will have a clean ballot, and they're calling off what you voted and marking on the clean ballot. But in that process, we have 2 extra people watching and making sure that they are saying what you marked and making sure that that person is marking what they're saying. We want to ensure that integrity, and we want the voters to feel comfortable that we take that extra step to ensure that their vote is counted the way they wanted it.
That's really important. As much valued as the right to vote is, it's really appreciated to know that that goes into that extra mile. My last question is, and I know you've answered this before, many times I've asked it, but there's also people that come up and say, how can you tell if someone's here to vote and if they are a U.S. citizen?
So when voters register, it goes through the system of their Social Security and their driver's license. And then I always get the question, well, everyone can get a driver's license. This is true, but even if you just go to DMV's website, or you remember back taking your 16-year-old in for their driver's license, you have to have a certified copy of your birth certificate or your passport to show the DMV. That proves your citizenship. And so, yes, anyone can get a driver's license, but they're different driver's license. So we run that process through to ensure that our people are citizens that are registered to vote.
And also the last 4 digits of the Social Security number.
Social Security number. And if also on DMV's website, it will tell you if you have a Social Security number, you have to provide that. And so even if you are only 16, if your parents are writing you off on their taxes, you have a Social Security number. Everyone has one.
Perfect. Let's talk about those who, for some reason, up to now, are not registered to vote, and all of a sudden they decide they want to vote, and they've already missed the deadline to register to vote.
The deadline was October 21st. So now they must go in person. They must fill out a envelope that has yellow around the edges. We call that a conditional voter registration envelope. And then when they vote their ballot, they'll put it in that envelope so that we can do that whole process of registering them and getting them into the system for the future and ensuring that they are an eligible voter in Stanislaus County. By putting it in that envelope, it in no way says that vote is not going to count. That vote will be counted as long as it is eligible in the process of canvass. So canvass is the time after the election when we are doing an audit on the election. So if you go to a vote center, they were given paper. If they were given 100 sheets of paper and they printed 50 ballots during the audit process or canvass, we're going to count the paper that came back and ensure that what was given was used and what's returned, it should be what's returned. We also are going to count all the vote by mail that we've received on election day or through the mail the days after, must be postmarked. And then we move to things like conditional voter registration, provisionals, things like that are counted after all that vote by mail. So that's all the things happening during the canvass process.
This is important for our viewers to know because no voter will be disenfranchised. No. If for health reason or traveling or whatever it might be, slip their minds, but they have decided to vote, they will not be turned away.
No, we want every voter in our county to come and vote. That is what we encourage, is come and make your voice heard. People may not know, but I mentioned to you that during off-season we have all these small elections, and I mentioned the Oakdale election. Mm-hmm. That election ended in a tie. And now a lot of people don't know what happens when an election ends in a tie. But the district has a couple options. They can literally flip a quarter. So wow. A person brings a quarter, the candidates look at the corner, they flip the quarter, heads or tails. And that is how your candidate is decided. Oakdale chose to draw cards. So they laid out cards. The 2 candidates pulled cards. They both pulled a 9. And so then by code, it is decided by the suit. So there's a person on the Oakdale School Board, and I'm happy for them, but they are there because of a 9 of hearts. And so I encourage our voters, please come and vote, because we want your voice heard, not drawing of a card or flipping of a coin. So, you know, that happens in our county. Votes are 1 by 1 vote. Turlock School District had that, 1 vote. Or sometimes races, if the voters' voices are, they didn't choose to vote, could be decided by a flip of a coin or drawing of a card. So come and vote. Your smaller districts especially really need your vote.
You know, Donna, in closing, I would like to again remind our viewers that the Assyrian community has really been included in the process of having a voice. It is really up to us and members of our community to take that step to register to vote, to own their citizenship, and to really have a voice in how their local government works. You know, 9 different communities in Stanislaus County, mostly Turlock, Ceres, Modesto, but there's up to 50,000 Assyrians that call Stanislaus County home.
That's exciting.
And it's very exciting. And the fact that through your office, there are what we call facsimile ballots in the Assyrian language that they can request, whether it comes to in their homes, or they can ask for help. You know, if they are disabled or elderly, that they can be, you recruit Assyrian-speaking poll workers. Tell us about that, because that's so important for our next generation, to feel that they are included, they're valued, and they are welcome in the community.
So all of our ballots are translated into Syrian, Khmer, and Punjabi also. And we work with organizations or communities like you. Thank you so much for all of your help, because we want to try to have all of our languages at every single vote center, so that if you go in and you need that assistance, that you can ask for someone to translate in your language. On election day, we will even have the ability to, via Zoom, have the sign language translation for our voters. So our goal in Stanislaus County is that everyone feels comfortable and included in the voting process. So we work really hard and do our best at that.
That's very true. And for someone like me who has been active in Stanislaus County and worked in elections, and I see the progress. I see the more attention that's being paid to help people to vote, and especially with this program for the transparency that is so needed right now, because there's information that comes from other sources, but we come to the actual source, which is your office, the Voter Registrar, and you inform and educate us on that, and I really appreciate that, especially with Mr. Sambit Reshu with Vote Assyrian, which is really the intent to get as many Assyrian Americans in Stanislaus County to register to vote, to really be active and engaged and know how the process works, and really get the community going, especially the newer generation, to get us as much involved as possible.
And our goal too is to see that happen. We want people to understand that voting is your way of saying what you would like your community to be like. You're going to vote in the person who represents your values, and that is our goal, is that our voters all do that. We're voters too. Most of my staff live here in Stanislaus County and vote here and raise families here, and so we really want to see that process be out in the public, that they understand what we're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you again, both of you, Mr. Betreshu. In closing,
on behalf of the Vote of Assyrian, I would like to thank you for taking the time that you showed us everything. You answered a lot of questions. I really appreciate that. We learned a lot today. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming.
thank you, Donna. Linder, this concludes our conversation with Vote Assyrian, Mr. Sambit Reshu, and Donna Linder, Stanislaus County Voter Registrar, Clerk Recorder, and her other title is the actual marriages as
Commissioner
well.
of Civil Marriage, yes.
Commissioner of Civil Marriages. Thank you for being with us. Please stay with us to see our exclusive tour that we have had access to how ballots are counted in Stanislaus County. Thank you, and I will see you on the next Modern Assyrian on AGN TV.
So they have the Dropbox number, the seal that they removed from the Dropbox. Janelle is going to take the form that they have filled out. She's going to compare the number.
9076.
Okay, it's good. You can go on very good. Thank you.
So they've compared the seal that they put on when they pulled the bag out of the Dropbox. They zipped it and sealed it, and now she's compared that seal to make sure. They also put the time they picked up, and so then she knows the time they've arrived here, and so we know if they were Oakdale. Of course, it's going to take a while to get here, but if they're coming across town, how many stops did they have? And so we can compare that type of thing. So then the ballots have to be removed from the bag. This is an outdoor bag. And so then they have to put them so that they're all facing the same way so that they can be ran through the sort machine. And then she weighs it to see approximately how many ballots are in there. So is it, when you have the indoor boxes, is this a good location for that box? Does it have traffic? The outdoor boxes, some of them are in locations that are needed as far as for access for people. So.
I didn't know that. Right. Interesting.
And we give credit when they run them through the sort machine upstairs. So she'll put something in there that says where it came from. So it came from an outdoor box, this area, that type of thing.
So Donna, you have camera on every station, everybody is watching.
We have cameras down here on this floor. 2 of them point towards the vault, and then they're all over the office, and some are pointing to the lobby also. So watch her do an indoor, and then we'll go upstairs so they can run.
That one, you can go ahead and remove it.
319 9073.
Sounds good. You can go ahead and take it.
They have the ballot type on the blue so that they know what ballot type's in there. Then they put the box in that box. The seal will be broken. They're temporary seals. And then after they run the batch through, the batch will go into that box, and the box is the ballot type. So we always keep the ballot types separate. The ballot types are kept separate for really the use of our small districts. We found in 2020, Waterford School District had a measure. It lost by just a couple of votes, and so of course they wanted a recount. So when they came in, out of the 204,000 ballots we had, they had 5,000. So we had separated, so it was just 3 little boxes that we had to pull to count.
Adjudicating.
Okay. So it was just those 3 little boxes we pulled out, and we started the hand count. If we hadn't separated, we would have to go back and go through all 204,000 to find those. And unfortunately, the district is charged for everything you do in a hand count. Yeah. So a recount. So Jenny is going to, this person's on break, so she's going to get on this computer and show you adjudication. Yellow is an undervote. So we look at undervotes just to make sure, did it pick up your check mark? Because if it's too close to the edge, it may not have gotten it, but we can see it with our eyes. Sometimes we notice that people will do X's, but they're, kind of outside the box, so we'll see those also. Usually an overvote is they made a mistake. So ballot type is broken up by what's on the ballot. So we have 3 congressional, we have our assembly districts, 2 of those, but each of our cities is on the ballot too, and so each of those seats makes another ballot type. So everything creates new ballot types, and your ballot is specific to your area, your representation. So see how the person marked both, but they put a line through the no? So they want the yes. So we'll give yes credit, and then now the vote is for yes, but the voter told us what they wanted. We call that voter intent. And so that's what happens with most of your overvotes. If it's just 2 boxes filled in, then we think that the voter wanted the overvote, and we have to put that through that way. For education purposes, if you overvote, it does not count for either candidate. If it says vote for one, you need to vote for one.
And it shows what party he's belong or she's belong to?
It depends. Some races are nonpartisan, so their party is probably not on there. That would be up to the candidate. Thank you. So we're lucky to be the old B of Bank building. I can't go in here by myself. We require 2 people at a time because we do have ballots, no pens or pencils, because there are unvoted ballots in here and voted ballots. So this is our bank vault. So in here, you see carts are always marked what is happening with them. These signatures are finished being done, and this will go up to the machine Fluence upstairs, the sort machine, and it will sort out. It says that they're ready for repass, which means it's going to go through and pull out all the ones they challenged. And then they'll go through and they'll double check that it pulled out all of the ballots that are challenged. We use this cart as our challenge cart. They'll put the ones that are missing signatures or wrong person signed or mismatched signature. They run a report, make sure all the ballots got into the right spot, and then they'll go up and run these again and put them by ballot type. So this cart is for the ballot cures. So if your signature didn't match or you forgot to sign, then we're sending you the form for you to correct that. And then the forms are here. So the forms will be attached to the right ballot, and then they'll take the signature on the form, compare it to the one on file. And if it matches, then that ballot can be counted. If not, we cannot count the ballot until the signature matches.
And that's only good until up to the point of where you certify all the final votes.
2 days before, so December 1st.
So how you compare signatures if you don't have the signature in front of you? I mean, some like my signature. How would you compare?
So we'll compare this signature to the one on the voter registration.
Oh, okay.
So, so when it goes through the Fluence machine, it's taking a picture of this portion of the box. It's scanning this to tell us to give credit to this person. We've received their ballot, and then the computers at this back wall, people will sit at those, and it will bring up the signatures from here and the signatures from the registration file, and they compare.
So if somebody dropping for somebody is gonna sign in the bottom, right?
If they're dropping it off for someone,
Yeah.
then they sign back here.
Oh, so but this still is gonna be signed in the front, right? I mean,
Yeah,
the person-
this has to be the
Has to be
signature
signed.
of the, yes, it has to be signed. If it's not, we also send them a form and say, you forgot to sign your
see.
envelope. If the first pass signatures, they don't go through, they only can see in first pass the most recent signature on your voter registration. Another person comes along, they pull up the voter registration system, the whole system, and then they can look at your previous signatures and see if any of those match what you put on this envelope. We found that sometimes when people register, they'll be really careful, and then they go to DMV and they're signing on the little thing, and that's the most recent signature is the DMV, but that didn't match this because they signed this very careful or with, you know, something specific that's on an older registration. So that's why we do that. In that process, We're pulling up your signatures to verify. We're in a module for your vote by mail ballot. It tells us your name, your address, and where your precinct is, and then it has your signature. So we're not looking at party or anything like that. We can't tell how you voted. Your ballot is in this envelope. When they take it out of the envelope, your envelope goes one direction, your ballot stays with them, so we never know how people vote. It is private.
What happens to the envelopes?
The envelopes are kept just like everything else in an election for 22 months. So they go out to the warehouse with a destroy date on them, and then we keep them out there. Now that we're capturing this, we can pull it up on the computer, but historically, if there was a question about your signature, we could go find your envelope and pull your envelope and actually have that physically in front of us.
When is the results comes out?
So we start giving results for what they're counting right now at 8 o'clock on election night. You'll get those. And we can go back and I can show you that, a visual, but they'll pull the results on a drive and then they take them to a separate computer that they put the drives in, and it tallies the votes for us. And then they physically print a piece of paper for us to have the results.
But that's not final, right?
No. Final will not be until December 3rd.
December 3rd.
Right. But election night, once we've done the 8 o'clock, then we start doing the vote by the vote centers as they come in. So law says that we have to report within every 2 hours. We do it as the vote centers come in. And then once all the vote centers are here, we're done for election night. And then we come back and start doing the vote by mail. We have found in Stanislaus County, we receive almost half our vote by mail on election day. Wow. They like to drop it off at a place where people are at. So they go to the vote centers and drop off their
So
ballots.
if someone is like in Europe, has a vacation or something, his ballot, or he let's say he mailed it, is that okay, right?
Yes, yes. As long as it's postmarked election night, we accept it for 7 days after that. Now, if you have friends that are saying, oh, it's election night, I waited till the last minute, I'm going to go drop it in a post office box, they need to make sure when the last pickup is, because if it misses that, it will be postmarked the next day, and I cannot legally take that.
Oh, I see.
Even if they finished it that night, they put it in the box, it is not postmarked on the right day. So I can't
if
take that.
somebody's ballot received after the election night, it won't,
It can. We count them as long as they're postmarked.
I see.
And then they have to be here within 7 days. So.
Wow.
And the mail does sometimes take 7
Yeah,
days.
because we were there like after 5 or after 8, somebody came in, we said we closed. Said, what about my ballot? I said, well, drop it in the mail.
It's probably too late.
Yeah.
If they find a post office box that's going to pick up, then they can put it in that. But if not, 8 o'clock is the deadline on election day.
I see.
Why do people wait that late anyway?
Yeah, some people work. some
The vote
people-
center's open Saturday, October 26th. So,
Plenty of time.
yeah, if they want to drop off their ballot, they can vote in person, they can go there and register, anything like that. So we'll have 6 of them throughout the county. And then the 2nd of November, they all open, so they have weekends to
see.
vote too. So, and then these are ballots that we have, extra ballots in the office for duplication. If a voter comes to our counter, we can print them here too, but we come back and get them out of the vault.
John, a quick question. Approximately how many employees do you have during election time? And how many volunteers?
So we have 10 full-time employees, and then during election time, we hire anywhere from 150 to 200 part-time staff. Some of them have worked for us for years, some are new. And then volunteers usually range from 800 to 1,000. So, because once the vote center's open, you can't have just one person there.
Right.
Even if no one goes there all day long, the possibility of having a voted ballot there is there. And there has to always be 2 people with a voted ballot. Well, people have to go eat, they have to take a break. So you have to have enough people at a vote center to take care of any voter that may come in, or to make sure that you have that over if there are voted ballots on site.
Absolutely.
So, plus they have ballot paper too. So.
And there is also the facsimile ballots in Assyrian, Punjabi, and Khmer that are available at
Correct.
some vote centers.
And they're in all of our ballot types are translated. So you'll see them, they hang on the wall, and then they also have copies for people that they can compare.
I was wondering, I heard on the radio, the commercial, that the ballots are in Spanish and English.
Yes.
Why is that? Why not the other languages?
Right now, our equipment can't read the characters in the other languages. So it's only the Spanish and English that it can be read.
I see.
That's why they're called facsimile ballots, right?
Yeah, they're a copy of the
How many stations do you have here in Stanislaus County?
stations.
Yeah, like the one that
Locations.
locations.
So we'll have 6 this weekend, and then a total of 32 for next weekend. And then we add one on Monday. It's an area that gets a lot of traffic, so there will be 2 there. So we'll have a total of 33 by Election Day. And we are a county with only, we have a little over 290,000 registered voters. So that's how many vote centers we have here. Other counties have different numbers based on their population.
290,000.
Yeah. So technically, by law, we only need 29 vote centers. But because we have areas where we know we'll be busy, we have extra vote centers
I see.
for our public. We legally only need 28 drop boxes, it's only 18, sorry. We have 28 drop boxes. So we have added for our voters so that they have the ability to get to more locations instead of, well, there's one and it's only across town. So we just make sure that we have more options out there.
Yeah, that's wonderful to be able to reach out the entire population.
Yeah, we try to be more inclusive.
And Donna, what is the number that our viewers can call if they have a question, or can they get through if they don't have access to a vote center and they want to call in?
So if they call our office, the 525-5201, so they will get, we have usually at least 2 people at this back counter answering the phone, and they can help them find their vote center. They can help them find where a drop box is. They can answer their questions about, oh, I can't find my ballot. We can, if you can't find your ballot, we can suspend your first one, which means if it comes in and it reads that barcode, it'll be said, oh, don't take this one, and then we can send them a new ballot.
By the way, I called a couple of times. They were excellent. I mean, they
Oh, thank
they
you.
helped me very, very professional and excellent.
If you lose your ballot or damage it, you can also go to a vote center and they can give you a new ballot any place in the county.
Yeah.
So if you are in Merced County for some reason and you have your ballot and you are like, I just want to, drop this off, you can drop it in any of their drop boxes, and then they have 3 days to mail it to us once they receive it. So we get ballots all the time from other counties, and we just send them off to them.
That's important for people who have moved, or they live in one county, or
And they work someplace else. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very
Yes,
common.
you can vote in person in a different county, but you can drop off your vote by mail. So
Great.
And we just want to make sure everyone signs it and seals it.
sign and seal. Always sign it.
So if someone is in a different county, they can't come in person and vote?
No, they have to vote in their county because your representation is what's on your ballot, and we won't have a ballot for that area. So we only have ballots for Stanislaus County.
I see. Makes sense.
But they can drop it off after
They
they've
can drop it
completed
off,
it.
yeah.
And within a few days, like she mentioned,
We
they
mail
can
them.
give it back.
Yeah, I remember people came into the location and say, you know, I don't live here. But I think they dropped it, yes.
Yeah,
They dropped it.
very common questions.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they insist on voting, we do let them vote provisionally, but we cannot count a ballot if you don't live in our county. We have to check your signature, and we don't have access to that either.
This is why we never disenfranchise anyone, because all of us work at vote centers. And we just want to make sure that no one's turned away, but they're always told that your ballot will be the last one, because they have to confirm, that you
Your
are a U.S.
resident.
citizen, number one, and then you are a resident of California, and then to make sure that depending where you live, you get the right ballot.
Right.
Correct.
But as long as they know that information, and then they feel more comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, we do everything we can to assist the voters. If you are having dinner and you are voting at a table with your family, and don't spill on your ballot, 'cause that happens. But you pick up the wrong envelope. So when it runs through the machine, like I mentioned, it's scanning this barcode and telling us that Joe Smith voted this ballot. But when we get it, Sally Smith signed it. So those are rejected because it's called wrong person signed. And then we put them in a bin and we go back and we find Joe and we find Sally. And then we can pull up the registrations and cross-reference the signatures. And then we can put those through. We do that for our voters instead of saying, we don't know what's happening, this isn't your signature. And then that way they aren't bothered again and their vote can go through. So we do that for wrong person signed. We did find in 2020, I think all the roommates sat down and they all mixed up their ballots too. So we used to just pull up Smith and Smith, and now we pull up address because it could be different
So
names.
if you're from different county and by chance you're here and you couldn't go back and you say, I wanted to vote for the president because the president is always in the same ballot. I mean, here, there, whatever. Is that possible or no?
No, you have to vote in. If you're going to vote in person, it has to be in your county.
I see.
But there is an option for people who are out of their county. We have what's called remote accessible vote by mail, and it's throughout the state. And so you go to your county's website and you can log into the remote accessible vote by mail, and it will pull up the ballot for your area. You vote that. You have to have a printer though, because then you're going to print that ballot.
Right.
You have to put it in an envelope and sign it. So even if it's a regular envelope, if you put a signature on there, we'll hand process that for you. And then that ballot has to be duplicated because it's just a piece of paper. It's not ballot paper. But that is an option for people. And we've had people call from New York and say, ballot got damaged, I can't vote it, what do I do? And we give them that option because if that is postmarked on election day, we can accept that ballot too.
Good question.
So there's a lot of options, a lot of grace for voters to get their vote in. When they're opening, when they're doing the ballots, they will give them a batch. When the batch is done, they wrap it with a report that shows the ballots that went through, and then they're put into a box and sealed. And the box has the ballot type on the box, and they also have the little squares, the yellow, green, and pink. So we have 3 pods. They're all color coded. So when you pull the batch out, see what she's doing right now? She's putting the batch note on the green, and the green paper tells you where it was done. So that if when we're adjudicating and they say, I'm not really sure, we had 2 like this yesterday, they can say it's batch number 560. Ballot number 2 in that batch, and they can go pull it and physically look at it. So she'll put the batch number on each box so that we can find them if we have to go search for them.
And if it's not completely blocked out, it goes back, or they have it separate because they're separated from the envelopes. Let's
If they don't fill in the box completely, no, people do checks, X's, they scribble a little bit in there. So they don't have to totally fill in the box. It works better. This is the longest process because you're flattening each one. You're also making sure that they don't have something stuck to them that will interfere with the machine. They're checking to make sure that the they all have their so they're going to run the machine at the top and the sides, and then she pulls out the ballots, and the envelope goes one way, and the ballot stays with her to be flattened. These are tiny. I'll take it. All right. Do you want me to put them on the top? So these are the hand sorts because we have so many. The districts that have a small amount of voters, they are hand sorts because our machine isn't big enough to get everything. And then they'll take them downstairs to the blockers so they can go through count. And then they take the bags, they seal them up, and then they put the destroy date on them. And when the envelope was open, so if you call them and say, I have a question about it, you know, we will open it based on verifying it. And then go to the bag and hide it. And then the destroy date is the date of the election. She's trying to get right here, guys. So she does the ready to open card over there and the ready to flatten is over here. And then these cards, once it's full, they'll have people take them downstairs. And always two here because they're voting.
So no ballot is
Always two.
No, I never had
No, your title is?
Oh, I'm actually the clerk recorder registrar, voters commissioner of civil marriage. It's three titles. I tease because they say you do everything. I'm like, no, I don't collect your taxes. Because her name's Donna also.
That's Donna Riley.
Very interesting. Yes, please.
Can we change it? We got it.
Yeah, we can go right here. Out this door.
Oh, sorry.
We need more space. Tatiana, do you know when they'll sort? Because I saw there's some in the back.
It is amazing.
No. They will be put into bins and go on a cart labeled Fluence, First Pass, and Signature Review. So those are ready signature review. And then once the signatures are reviewed, they go into Fluent's repass, which means that they've done the signatures and some of them are challenged, and they're going to pull out the challenged ones. They'll go in a certain bin if they're challenged, and then they do an audit report to make sure that all of the ones that were challenged were pulled from the batch, and then they'll go through and do a fine sort, which is where they put them into their ballot types, and then that's when they go to open. We will not open more than we can count every day. I think ballots are more secure in their little envelopes than they are out and loose like that. So we keep them in the vault, and they're only opened as much as we can finish a day. And we can do 10, 12, we've even done to 15,000, but 10,000 is a real comfortable number to get the ballots all opened, flattened, counted, and adjudication done all in one day. So.
Gabiane Atoraye depneted Stanislaus County. Gubaya Rashmaya درش مشتعلانة أطرة أمريكا ين presidential elections إلى يوم 5 تشرين تريانا. قانون إيت صدرت جوباية باشم شودرا ببوستا من يوم تشوى تشرين قمايا هل يوم إسريخا تشرين قمايا. قد هدريتون شموخ جابياته عزيتون الويب سايت theregistertovote.ca.gov. مصيتون مدريتون جوباية ببوستا ينجو صندوق رشمايا ينجو قنطرون جوباية داها بنيتا. أبزه مصيتون عزيتون برسوبايت الخا قنطرون رشمايا قداها بنيتا. قدن قنطرون رشماية مصيتون خا. مدريتون جوباية بوستا. تري هدريتون شموخون قا جوباية. طلا طلبيتون هيرتا قد ترجمتا بليشانا آتورايا وسدرا دجوباية بليشانا آتورايا ين أربا طلبيتون هيرتا قا رشمتا دجوباية قداها سدرا.
Shalom aleichem geshchana murid ba'ana Ivan Carmen Morad. Udyu iver gimditet modesto, agzilochon itvalan chachur zaraba dilanaya, نسبة البرشياتي جو أطرد أمريكا. أمي إلي ميقرأ سمير بدرشو من Voter Syrian بشنتي الخوش.
يعني بس انت رابع بس انت قبلتك ذات شتا.
رابع مخديان تلا ميقرأ سمير قد جو أمتن بغزايخ جوجتا بغزايخ همزمياتي engagement قد إتلان برشياتي جو أطرد أمريكا بغزايخ مدياتي بريشة بغزايخ جو ستيت بريشة رابلا مغديان تلا موديلا تخمنتوخ باز جوجت بن أمتن قد شريكي جو برشياتي أطرد أمريكا.
هل بد أخن تخمنا قد بارخ organization شمو إلى Vote Assyrian أي إلى أخشي قد شوق ابن أمتن أبي engaged and يدا political movement يعني يدا أطرا يبي قاليه أبوش أنا قتله من قمان يوين عاد كيف كده قمايت يو الفوت أختي أنا قيتها وقد أي أمتن جرب آخره مبلخالة إذا أنت أويلخ قال جدا أثرا تلخيله إذا أنت لا أويلن قال لتلخيله نمص طلبخ إذا بغزاينا آخره زدله وهدي هيورة ناشي وبيخ ناشي أزي أودي فولت أدي ريجستر قمتها بيطي قد كما من أمتن لخا ستانسلوس كاونتي زدلو فولتس بيكوز أخنا جاروبخ قد أخنا أخ أمتا أو خنفال بدا شورا
رابط دوز ميقرا سمير آتن بشنو وشن خياد لخا مودستو يو ستانسلاس كاونتي ومغديان تلاتيان أنا وآتن توربن وبن أمتن خينه إيوخ پلاخد جو إلكشنز داوخ پلخانه جو دنك ما يومانه پایران بداوخ قا نومتن اینا بد پلخ قکل امریکایی او کود پرسوپد شروکی لدار قوله قامو انا قیتل اخنن آتورای اوخ شروکه ودیو خزیتون جدا خورز شابیره Voter Syrian قد شوت صوت اتن قبل نومتن جو Stanislaus County مزي دخله Voter Registration مزي دخلون ان النمبر البرسوبة من أمتن قد بدراينا قوله قد جنريشن خاطة قد ليمي علمياته قد يلبيله واجبوتا أخ أمتنايوته قد أهيايوتن خمخلة أو جروسة أو يخلنته خدش تاني لان باز جانوك ميقرأ سمير بداين أخ أمتنايا رابا بليخت رابا تشولشت رابا اتلوخ او خوبا جلبوخ قا امتويا منتينتا عادي جو جالوتا جو اطرد اوهاتن خدش ماديقا جشقان مغبه اوود السيريان قد شريود ميكا بيتايل او خوبت اتلوخ قا منتيتد امتن جو جالوتا
هل بد دزوتا انا يوخا اطورايا اخ كلخون مغباند امتي بيخ فلخ هنيان داها امتا تسنقتلا الكل برناشة اتلي خامدي سورة ماسية والقدا أمتا سبب هدخي خسنيقة قد كل من دي آتقالا يعني كل من دي باري جاوان بايد لقدا أمتا فوت أسريان تايلا من بغزايا خرابة جناتي جو فورين جو لا أختي جو ألكشن أمريكا يبين جو خا ألكشن خادكتا لوكال بغزايا ترابة دوراشي اتن سو أخر مارخ من دي توكيله ما صدرشت ما صديوت خيالوخ اختي دي بش انا قاي الى اودد فوت اذا انت عيلو خرابنا شوادنا فوت ايجي بيطي قد اخرا اتلن قال اتلخيله اذا انت عيلو قال اتلخيله اذا بيت طلبت خامني قد عيلو قال الا عيلو قال ليه ما طلبتش من دي وان اوفيشال انا نبر خاطر كونغرس مين اسمبلي مين ميري كوميتي اجد بداينا اتنقال اطورايا سبيشالي ستانسلوس كاونتي قد ايوه برسنجين رابنا خياند لخا بتاخي الخاخيره او كونغرس من شم مبيخ ان اخن لا امرخ ليه او ميكي طو مبيخ زي قال انا قيت لقد اويلا قال وطلبخ مبيخ انا مطلبا ابي خك يعني مطلب يعني اختي امري رابا السناي أبي لا طلبخ أطرى مني ين طلبخ خامندي طلبخ خامندي قد هير قبني أمتن لخا مو اتلن سنيقيات لخا
يا سمير تخمنت قرابة لشابرت السبب قا امو اسريشني كم سنتنيان او تراي قد خينا لخا جدا بنيت ستانسلاس وديو قدوسا تيفرجيو سكيوز ريستوران أبا باسيما ميقرا براد موراد قد هم شاقة AGN حاضر كابد لأ رابا شابرتا رستورانت أخبر زايتون اتلن رابا بن أمتن قد إنا مار بزنيزة اتلن بن أمتن قد إنا بروفيشنالز إنا أسية إنا رابية إنا بروفيسورز مغديان تلا قد بغزايخ أمتن إلى جمنتيتا بن أمتن قد بيتاينا ألدا أطرا سنيقنا الهيارتا اتن هيارتا قاتل إنا أغمروخ إدانت بايخ خيلا عويلان و خيلا بيتايلة من أوخا voting block سبب إن politicians كدال بيترمند يعني من كتان أخلون constituents خائلة زويزة انت اتلون كم سير تشيكس كتفي إنا اتشم أنا نقيتا قد برشياتي كافي بيش قريمة إنا قولة إنا فوتس إن أخنا أطراية مغزخ لجانا أخا voting block ميقورتا دانا ليندر قد غزيلو خون جدا خرزة مرا اتن elections قد كبالتي even اتن elections قد قرمي ببلكد أسرة يا 3 votes وكما أنا نقيتلا إدانت أخنا أطراي خياند لخا بألف قد إيواخ أواخ registered voters قد خزيلا أخا أينا قد اتلن خيلة كم صغ elections قرمي أو مقرمي بأي رولد اتلن أطراي مودي لا تخمنتك بعض خا جبرت تخمنت لا خا خيلة شابيرة لا
هل بد أخن خايمة بسبرخ من بنون أمتان قد رختي قاتلنا بوزيشنز و لا خضر غبر أو إلى من دا جبا يعني من دو جبا خينا إذا تيلي وايا أطرايا هيرون لا كومت من دم جيبت آتي إذا عازد أوفيس خا أوفيشال بيت طلبت خامدي ليه بقروا خاث الميشت ديمقراطي ريبابليكاني ليه بقرينا من يعني سودان أيلو خا أطرايا جودن دكانه قالوا ده هيرت له قا بني أمتو خيرت له لخا اديو ما بغزايق أنا جوانقة نيو جنريشن دون قربونه اتنخايا جوانقة يطلت لرابس باي شمو مايكل سادا إسلام خبان قالوا قد آباسيما وايلي بيعاو انفالف آون خك مجاناتك دا شولا اخلا بالطير اخلا من كله كنت بلا قدا امتا على بارخله علىها يولي بألفه سبب ما ريضان تقتقت الترى ترى فاشتيخه الاخن لا تقدر خلدنا ترانه بتخي سو ان بس مالوخن اخبني امتن اختي ودون فوت كنت اويتون لا لي بيقدرش قماي انا قماي خينا قمايله اختي مول خوش ود فوت خم دي رابه السنه
خامدي قد أخنا شريق لخ قد بيان جشقانا مغبياتي بعضو إذا غرابة active أو involved إذا بالخانة يو elections office إتلان training بدايخ قانون موينا معلوب هنينا training إتلان أو training بيغلب لخلا قابن تتجانن تخمن ميقلا سمير إذا مارت إتلان جوانقي عادية خماته قد اتلون تخمنتا بي يلبانت political science عبيلون بي رختيقة كونغرس قد positions بريشة جري يطي قد أمتا إلى باره قد يطي اتلن خيلة جانن بأمت جانن اتلن ان النمبرز قد ان كنت خد بي راخد قخا آفس اخلن كمسخ آواخ support باتو رابا بغداين تشيبو قا vote Assyrian of Stanislaus County همون van يول تشغل تبدأ من Voter Assyrian at Chicago سبب كود خد شارو يلي خد تخمنت منتين تقا أمتن جريك يلبغ مويدالة جريك بلخغ مويدالة اتن من ديان لخ قد أخنان خلان غيابه اتن شولانة آني وابن أمتن جستي تبريشة قد شولانة بعدنا قد قالت أمتن خلانة بعدنا قال مارومنا كما شابرت لن بلخغ مويدالة يلبغ مويدالة قد أمتن هل أويا جو بارا سبب أنا همون جو جالوت لقد أخذن كمسخ خقالة خلانة عبيلان قداتيت
أنا من جيبي مال أمدي قاما يعتم رابا سيمة AGN تلا بتشادن لداها دكتا قد يوخ تخمنياتا اديو من مجد رابا لبلان من ميقرطة دانا تيو بقال رابا وقالوا رابا لبلان وضيلي قد خامدي أنا نقاية وقد أن شوتاسا أن أمرانا أن عاوي قرب الذنة من ديانة بتأودا بيدا قاليه يعني اديو لبلان قد ماصي ادابت اودي خستيشن قاليه بشمت عمره بشمت خشتابوتا وبلاخه زوزي بيبيلو قد ان بلاخه ماصي فولنتير آوي قد يويلو زوزي قد عمره لين قد يشتابوتا انا من ديانا قاينه انا باليابي خديه يا بطلابخ من ضمن امتن كمتينا كمت أود انفالف كمت بقر بوقارة بتليفت بس من دوراشة بس من أنا ميكن أو خينا من دمجي بله أختي بلخ خا أمتا قد أمتا سنقتنا الكل ناشتي لجاو كل هدامة آتورايا قد بالغ بصبيوتا قد أمتا إجي كترة لأعملان كترة بصري وبخيلت علىها خايمة هقوياتا بآتي الإيتوتا
رابا دوز بغزايق ملت بريشة بالخاننا أو خلانة وينا بغزايق ملت بريشة إينا جومنتيتا إلى أطرت خيروتا أطرت بالخانة opportunities منتيتا خامل منتيتا ملت ديان أنا همونة وان جريك أويا جو politics جريك خيدخ بدا voter registration بدريت تقوله وأنا همونة من Stanislaus County هم زمخ رابا بعضو إيوه قربت 50,000 بيان تانيان قد هم زمخ بعضو وإيوه جوخا كاونتي قد ليلة رابا جورتا هي قديان يابلخا advantage اتلي هيفي بوش رابا آتت AGN هم يقرأ سمير سبب بيا غيطاق بأرخات بريشة داخل بنوم تن كمسي شركي إيوه كما يومان أخشي من دا election جورتا president إنا بدمايلة كل شيء دخل election اتن جو خم ديتا جو خا state إنا أخنا نتابخ بالخانة منوخون أخا تلفزيون خا برس خزوة قد بجرابا يلبانا مزيد دخل قبل أمتن قد أبخ منتيان
هرمخا من دادي كتاب طلابل من كل الجوان قن تينا تازا إن بريد لخا ينقر وسنا لخا إن بس ما لخون تيموي من انفالب منن دكتا بريتا لقالوخون شقولن دكانا أخنان بيخلقون عيوتن عوودة بمصياتوخون بخشان ماسخ ماطخ القنيان هنيان دا أمتا آبي قد قادخ كامن قدا أمتا لخا قدا Stanislaus County
يقرأ سمير داخي قشقانا المغبة قد بخاينة Stanislaus County كمسي بجرابا مطانيات أبيلون باز فوت السيريان أديتون على السوشيال ميديا على الفيسبوك داخي كمسي يبل تشغل تشاري لمنوخ هل
بد فوت السيريان اللي شمو جو فيسبوك اتلان أخنا ماسل المسج أنا تلفوني إلى 304 رابها السنة إلى كل خادوته بجوب أني تلفون بيت شوقد مسج إنه جوب لي أنا بدير الله لتليش ليه أنكر من لا جوب كنت بيه كنت أبن سجر منن لا سجر منن باقر بقارة أخواتي 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 ما صنجوبن بخيلت علىها بصبيوتا
بسي مرابا قشقان مغبة إن بيتون بجرابا مطانيات بعض voter registration أقبضايتون AGN إلى partner من Stanislaus County Elections Office إتلان public service announcements قد بخزيتون ل interviews إتلان من Elections Office Voter Registrar ميقورتا دانا ليندر قد شتبقى AGN أخا media قد إيواخ observe دا داخي إن ballots بياشنا مكملة داخي بياشنا بنية إتلي هيفي شركيتون جو elections إيكد بخايتون قدم ديتت إيتون ريشوخون أولول أطراية أغراية دا أطرا أخ citizens ومبلخخ لأخيلة وما يغمنتيتا أمتدجانن جو أطرت أمريكا وقالوا تأيكد بخايتون أنا إيفان كارمن موراد بشواق بشنغة توخون خزن وخون جو خورزخينة شلام عليكم جشقان مغبة أنا إيفان كارمن موراد بتشاهدن قاتوخون أبيتون شركاني جو برشياتت أطرت أمريكا التريل بإسري أربا اخنا أطراي خيانة Stanislaus County بريشايد مديت ترلاغ سيريز مودستو إيوا غرابة مار إقبال قد ماسخ شركة قدن برشياته وشقلخ بالتس بليشانة أطراي وشقلخ خيارتا بتشاهدن منوخون طلبيتون لأن بالتس بليشانة أطراي آتي جبت فاتوخون يا أن عزيتون جو vote centers طلبيتون هيارتا بليشانة أطراي وطلبيتون لأن ballots بليشانة Assyrian. Then on minten من شركتوخون. אביתון באסימן.
Gabiane Atoraye depneted Stanislaus County. Gubaya Rashmaya درش مشتعلان أطرت أمريكا ين presidential elections إلى يوم 5 تشرين تريانا. قانون إيت صدرت جوباية باشم شودرا ببوستا من يوم شوى تشرين قمايا هل يوم إسريخا تشرين قمايا. قد هدريتون شموخ جابياته عزيتون الويب سايت theregistertovote.ca.gov. مصيتون مدريتون جوباية ببوستا ينجو صندوق رشمايا ينجو قنطرون جوباية داها بنيتا. أبزه مصيتون عزيتون برسو بايت الخا قنطرون رشمايا جوداها بنيتا. جودن قنطرون رشمايا مصيتون خا. مدريتون جوباية بوستا. تري هدريتون شموخون قا جوباية. طلا طلبيتون هيرتا قد ترجمتا بليشانا آتورايا وسدرا دجوباية بليشانا آتورايا ين أربا طلبيتون هيرتا قا رشمتا دجوباية قداها سدرا